What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. Today, I want to talk to you about Jordan Peterson and his book, The 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos. Okay? So, if you haven't heard of Jordan Peterson, I linked his YouTube channel down below. He's amazing. His talks are revolutionary. They're amazing. They will make you think, and he's great. He's a professor in Toronto. He's also a psychiatrist or psychologist. Not psychiatrist, psychologist. And he's amazing. Okay, so if you haven't heard of him, go check him out. His talks will really make you think, and they'll really make you realize a lot about yourself and why you do things. It's not like a therapy session listening to his talk, but he's great. He wrote a book called The 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos, basically talking about how the world is full of chaos. And this chaos is always going to be there, and we can do certain things in our life with these 12 rules to counteract that chaos with the yin and yang of life. So, and the yin and yang symbol, the Taoist symbol, is the black and white fish swimming in a circle, and then the white represents chaos, the white represents calm, and the normal represents chaos. And there's a black dot in the white one and the white dot in the black one to symbolize the fact that there's always going to be chaos and calm, and there's always calm within chaos. It's a really cool symbol, and he talks about that in the book. But I want to talk about the first rule, and I'm going to do 12 videos of this, and maybe a full recap, maybe a 13th video. But the first video I want to do is the first rule for life. And that first rule for life is stand up straight with your shoulders back. And when you first hear that rule, when you first hear him say that, you go, okay, I know that I should be standing tall and be confident, right? That's your first thought. And if you read the book, hopefully you do, I'll link to the book up down below. Or if you listen to it, I also linked a link up down below to the audiobook too. I'm listening to it because I really enjoy the way Jordan Peterson speaks. And he speaks with sometimes really advanced vocabulary. So listening to him talk is better than me reading it for focus reasons. So I listen to it in the car and stuff. Anyway, please check it out. It's an amazing book. I'm 2 chapters in, but I'm going to go one by one so I don't forget. So, the first rule, like I said, when you hear the first rule, stand up straight with your shoulders back, you're going, okay, cool. I know exactly how I should be standing. Not a lot of people do it, but that's how everyone should be standing tall, right? Confident. But he really talks about why that is, and he talks about lobsters. He talks about lobsters, and it's not a funny thing in the book, but it's probably funny when you first hear that. So lobsters have been around for millions and millions of years. And what's interesting about lobsters is when they fight, the lobster that loses kind of cowers with, not shoulders, but kind of cowers in the corner. And, he loses. So he has a posture that's, and he's more depressed and sad in lobster terms, right? And I can't remember, in the brain, there's a sad chemical, just like there's serotonin or dopamine for your high. There is the opposite for your low. Anyway, so, and that's actually in the brain that happens. So there's more of the chemical that makes you sad or depressed in the lobster's brain when he loses, obviously, because he just lost a battle. And the lobster that wins, he has a higher level of dopamine or serotonin. I can't remember which one he says, and forgive me for that, but I do all these videos one take, so I don't want to pause it and go look it up, because that would ruin these one take videos. So the fact that when the lobster that wins, he gets a better place to live, a better place to hunt. He stands tall, his claws are all, you know what I mean? Like, just picture a lobster celebrating, right? That's literally what they do when they fight. You're probably not going to see this as much if you look in the counter at like a restaurant where they have fresh lobsters, or at a grocery store, but in the wild, that's like that. So the one that loses cowers in the corner. He doesn't get a good place to live. He doesn't get the best hunting grounds for food. He doesn't get the best habitat to hide in from predators, and he's more depressed, right? Literally, in lobster terms, in the brain. So how this relates to humans is we have a very similar chemical makeup, not our whole brain, but as far as the dopamine, serotonin, and the opposite of that, which I can't remember right now. I apologize. Yeah, so that one, I want to put this the right way. So basically, the same thing happens with us, but we don't fight, right? But we don't fight all the time. And I don't want to make this video super long because you'll get bored. You can listen to it, but we don't. It's not like we are like, yeah, fight. If you want to fight, you're probably going to be happy about it. Or if you get the shit kicked out of you, you're not going to be happy about it. But he's not talking about you need to fight other people. But the fact that the more a lobster wins a fight, the more he's likely to win because of his brain makeup now. His brain chemical makeup actually changes to a more happy, more confident lobster that has better reaction time and things like that. And the lobster that loses is way more likely to lose again. Even if he's Conor McGregor of lobsters, if he loses, he's more likely to lose again to another lobster because of his brain makeup changes and he's more sad, he's more depressed, he's not as confident, right? So how that relates to us is, we're not fighting all the time, but there is a, in life, the more you win, the more you're probably more likely to win. And they talk about, the Pareto's principle, or he talks about the Pareto's principle where, 20% of the wealth in Italy is owned by, 80% of the wealth in Italy is owned by 20% of the people. That was how he started, and 20%, the 80-20 rule. Tim Ferriss talks about that all the time. A lot of people, every entrepreneur, a lot of people talk about it now. It's becoming more and more popular. And so what's interesting about that is that the more likely you are to win or to have success, the more success you're likely to have. Because when you have success or when you win at something, your chemical makeup changes and you could become more confident. But you also aren't a child. You also don't just win by doing nothing. So the point of this chapter is, if you stand up straight with your shoulders back, you actually give yourself more of that good dopamine and serotonin in your brain, right? Because of the posture, because of how it was for lobsters when you have that posture. And when you have that win and you're posturing up and your chemical makeup's changing and then you're always walking around that posture, that carried over in evolutionary stuff to us. And now if we stand up straight with your shoulders back, you stand in a power stance. Tony Robbins even talks about this. If you stand in a power stance for a minute, you're more likely to have a more successful day because your posture not only affects how others perceive you, but affects how you feel. And it definitely affects how others perceive you for sure when you go to start a conversation with people and stuff like that. I don't want to make this video too long. So that is chapter 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. I hope that made sense. I'm sorry for not remembering the other terms, but these are one take. And like I said down below, if you want, you can go check out the book or the audiobook, and I'll also link up his YouTube channel down below. I'll talk to you guys for rule 2.